Okay, so deep bow, welcome everyone to our Buddhist book club. We are, a lot of different technical things going on here. So welcome everybody to our Buddhist book club. I'm happy that you are here, and I hope that you're in good health wherever you are. We'll start today with paying homage to the Buddha. So I'll do a little bit of a chanting. These teachings are coming to us from the great teacher, the wonderful master Thich Nhat Hanh, and the kind of expression coming from Thich Nhat Hanh is originating from the Buddha, this founder of the enlightened way. So it's nice when we can start with paying homage, paying respect, not only to the historical Buddha, whoever that was, whatever got this whole ball rolling, but also to the Buddha inside of ourselves, and to kind of recognize that and lift that up as we start this practice. Okay, so we can all bring our hands together, and please do chant along with me if you know the words. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, let's begin with 3 sounds of the bell. And as we hear the sound of the bell, we are invited to find a comfortable, stable position for our body and to come home to our breathing and the present moment. So we show up to the Discord or to the YouTube or wherever we might be viewing this, and we show up to come home, to enjoy the here and now. So the bell invites us. Okay, so we will continue where we left off in our reading yesterday. That is where we will start. We are reading Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm. And we are on the section Learning to Stop. We left off yesterday of our mindfulness as an embodiment of our wisdom and also our holiness. So to be a holy person or a spiritual person or a very, kind of special person in a spiritual way, that this is directly linked to our mindfulness, our concentration, and our capacity to have a deep understanding about our suffering, a certain situation, not to have a shallow way of looking at it or working with it, but a real deep and meaningful way of understanding what is happening in the here and now and how to take care of that. And that's very much based on our mindfulness, our capacity to be in the here and now. So we left off with Thich Nhat Hanh saying, "When I see you walking in mindfulness with solidity, with happiness, I see the holiness in you." So it's an interesting concept for our holiness or our high spiritual level to be our happiness and our mindfulness, to be in the present moment, not our special powers or our psychic abilities or, we're reading minds and all these different things, but rather that we really have this capacity to be fully in the present moment. So, on to the section learning to stop. The practice of meditation offered by the Buddha has two parts: stopping and looking deeply. The first part of meditation is stopping. If you are like most of us, since you were born, you have been running. Now it is a strong habit that many generations of your ancestors also had before you and transmitted to you. The habit of running, being tense, and being carried away by many things, so that your mind is not totally, deeply, peacefully in the present moment. The practice of meditation offered by the Buddha has two parts: stopping and looking deeply. So the habit of and the habit has been transmitted to us of running, being tense. You may even notice if you bring some awareness to your body that there may be a place of tension or tightness in your body, even though everything is good and okay. And also being carried away by many things, so that your mind is not totally, deeply, peacefully in the present moment. You get accustomed to looking at things in a very superficial way and being carried away by wrong perceptions and the negative emotions that result. This leads to behaving wrongly and making life miserable. The practice is to train yourself to stop. Stop running after all these things. Even if you don't have irritation, anger, fear, or despair, you are still running with this or that project, or this or that line of thinking, and you are not at peace. So, even, or rather, especially at those times when you have no problem at all, train yourself to be here, to be relaxed, to stop, to come back to the wonders of the present moment. So we show up, we go to the Buddhist temple, or we join the meditation group, or we, study this Buddhist teachings, we get involved with this and that, etc., in this realm of spirituality and meditation for what? To stop. This is the practice. So there's no excuse to be unskillful or unable to do meditation or to bring this practice in your life, because it's just a matter of to stop, to step back, to breathe. And this is kind of profound because we can all do that now, right? And there's the saying that if it stops, it is Bodhi, it is awakening. If it stops, it is awakening. If it stops, it is enlightenment, right? The saying, the mad mind doesn't stop. If the mad mind stops, awake, aware, free, right? Where do all those thoughts and stories and worries and this, oh my gosh, this situation in my life, where does it go when you stop? So the practice of meditation offered by the Buddha has two parts: stopping, to stop, and to look deeply. When your mind is still, so when we can bring ourselves and allow ourselves more so to settle into this simple, stable position, simple, stable, somewhat balanced position for our mind, when we allow ourselves to settle and be like that, when your mind is still, you see things deeply. If you really practice stopping, then you don't need to practice looking deeply, because you will be seeing things very deeply already. How about that? Right? Instead of just spiraling into our involvement with cause and effect and like and dislike and um, the car, driving a car kind of out of control, right? We're losing our mind. We're driving this car out of control. You've got to get the car under control. If you can just stop, you don't need to get the car under control. The work is done. It will already be under control if we can step back, if we can stop and train ourselves to be familiar with that stopping, that halting, that stepping back. Now I'm curious, what do we think about this concept of stopping? Does anyone have words to share about this or understanding to share about this? Can you? Does it seem possible or reasonable to stop your mind? Is it seems like for me, sometimes my mind can stop, sometimes it can't. But even if it does stop, I don't know if I'm fully convinced by that. Is that really is my mind really stopping? But it's stopped enough. It's fine enough. So can anyone share about that?
I can. Um, I find it every time I feel like, stopping seems impossible for me right now, but every time I think like, oh, I think I'm stopping, it's like that is not stopping. Just the thought of, oh, I'm stopping. It's like, okay, I'm not stopping.
But what, Morgan, what do you understand about that experience of stopping? How will you describe that?
uh, no, I don't think I have experienced it, but I feel like, uh, well, when you compare it to the sky, I think it's just watching the clouds and watching the weather rather than trying to do something about it.
For me,
I don't know.
Morgan, yeah, for me, there's in a moment of mindful breathing, in a moment of mindfulness, the stopping is there. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. There's a lot of accessibility in that. So, like the moment of hearing the bell, just hearing the sound of the bell, you can't hear it. The noise suppression is getting it. Maybe you can hear it if I talk, but that there's a stopping right there. The moment you see something or hear something or feel something, that there's a stopping that is there. Maybe it's not the complete halting of the mind, maybe it is, but to me it feels that there's like an opening there. Like reason I think I enjoy to take a cold shower or a hot shower, both get the job done really. It's just, if you're really in the thick of it, a cold shower is a little bit intimidating, but it's that moment by moment experience of to feel sensation. It's like there's some kind of safety in that moment by moment, present moment awareness. There's a stopping in there. There's a space in there. Um, so that's I think you must to have some experience of that, right? Just in hearing the bell, just hearing the bell.
Yes, and I've taken cold showers before a few times, and
Mm.
right when it hits, at the beginning, it's like a sudden, make a pun, but it's like freezing for a moment. It just forces me to stop for a second.
Right. Yeah. It's cold. Asiana?
Yeah, I would like to share something. The problem is the habit energy because it's so strong. If your whole life you've been running away, but the good news is neuroplasticity says that you can rewire your brain. So the more you stop, the easier it gets for you to stop. So right before this, I took my dogs to the park. We were there for like almost 2 hours. I had phone therapy at the park. Great time. I came home with the dogs and I sat on the couch and I felt this dissatisfaction. So then I thought, why don't I run to Starbucks and go get the caramel frappuccino? And then I thought, I don't even want that. So then I thought, what else to get? Then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not need to get anything. I wasn't even hungry. I already had coffee. So I thought, I don't need to like sit with whatever is coming up right now. So I just like for 5 minutes and then it's time to join the class. This Buddha book club. I made some tea, and I guess I'm happy that there was a stop, and I'm also happy to share that the more you stop, the easier it gets.
The more you stop, the easier it gets. Thank you, Kasiana. Yeah, and for myself, of course, there's nothing wrong with getting a cappuccino or going to the coffee shop or something or having a snack. I mean, but it a lot of things, because we don't have that relationship with stopping, it seems that a lot of things become a kind of fever, and we kind of spiral and get lost in that fever, and then we wind up in a place where we're sick, right? That cappuccino has become a sleepless night of dark delusions. Actually, it's not the cappuccino. It's not the caffeine that does it. It's this. We're kind of falling into this fever, this state, right? Because I mean, I'm sure we've all had many times where we have a caffeine or we have something sweet or whatever, and then we're fine, right? We sleep just like a baby. But sometimes that clinging, that craving mind comes in, and then we get involved with it, and we find ourselves it really gets out of control because we're not looking deeply at what's actually what we need at that moment. There is something that we need at that moment, and it's to stop. It's to look deeply, or at least to stop. Thank you, Cassiano. Anyone else have some insight about this? Some experience?
Have something. So, so when I experience my bodies, my brain, like, kind of, okay, slowing down is when I'm listening to my. It's kind of like when you're quiet, you're like, all of a sudden stops.
Okay, so this more of a spontaneous experience, not something that you intentionally do. Is that right?
Side effect of
The listening itself. So the listening in the listening itself. Right, because the music itself isn't the problem, but it's our grasping, it's our attachment, it's our lack of capacity to stop, to experience that stopping. Okay, thank you, Kai. Houston, we have a problem.
No. Oh no.
Yeah, they're waiting to pull that one out.
Okay.
Right.
I think, and the teacher will mention it. I think after a really when we're about to do shavasana, the final pose, I think in those moments, mind is more still. And in fact, I've heard the yoga teachers say that one of the reasons yogi did those exercises was to still their mind. I think maybe perhaps also after really strenuous exercise, my mind feels more still.
Okay. Thank you, Houston. Yeah, I also get I think there's a lot of truth to that and how we regulate the various energies that are inside of us. But then it's also where there's a lot of people who are working out all the time and their mind isn't still or calm in at least the way of looking deeply or contemplative way. So it's maybe how to find that balance. Yeah.
I guess maybe one thing, yeah, I guess yoga, if it's done from what I understand, it's yoga about breathing, very big about it. And when experiencing physical pain, and to relax. So maybe this maybe it has that meditative quality along with being physical because it focuses on breath a lot.
Right. Yeah, it's a unique quality of yoga. Thank you, Houston. So physical exercise and especially like a yoga kind of practice as a way to facilitate and support stopping. You found that that's quite effective. Okay. Thank you. Nicole?
Um, basically of stopping. I can't do it right now because it's like snow, but like a spring day, summer day, my moment of stopping outside and looking at the way the sun hits everything and like shining on trees and everything. And it just kind of makes everything still. And that moment of like the sunshine on the earth, like just as clear as meditation. And it's kind of, like time kind of stands still. So that's my stopping.
So the kind of direct experience of nature. Okay, so let's continue reading. Everyone for you. The practice of meditation offered by the Buddha has two parts: stopping and looking deeply. When your mind is still, you see things deeply. If you really practice stopping, then you don't need to practice looking deeply, because you will be seeing things very deeply already. Stopping and looking deeply are one. They are two aspects of the same reality. If you are focused on something important, that forces your mind to be concentrated. And when you are concentrated, you are stopping and looking deeply. So, stopping and being in touch with what is positive, you are fresh, you are clear, you are smiling. You are being fed with the nourishment of the practice, and you are able to nourish others with your clarity of mind, your smile, your joy. Yesterday, I believe it was, I brought in a story from Ajahn Brahm about the situation where the person is running from a tiger, they jump down a well, they hang onto a vine, there's a very scary snake underneath. They're in this well, mouses are chewing on the vine. So you can imagine how your mind would be at that moment. It would be frantic and erratic and so much movement, right? So quick to figure this out. And then the instruction and the encouragement was to stop and taste the honey, right? And so when we can do that, it says here, so stopping and being in touch with what is positive. So there's always some honey. There's always something sweet. And if we can practice to stop in those difficult moments, right? When we feel, oh, I really need the Starbucks, or I really need to have more tea, or whatever it is, you can stop, all right, this argument, or you're running away from a lion. You can stop and just notice that there is a sweetness, there are positive elements, there are conditions for happiness, there are conditions for enjoyment, there are conditions for freedom and joy and positivity right where we are, from that place of stopping and looking deeply. So when we can practice like that, actually we're going to be nourishing and empowering our positivity, our happiness, our joy, right? We're not going to be going into those self-fixated coping mechanisms and that fever of chasing after, trying to avoid, There's a story of some person. I'm getting this from Ajahn Brahm, and I think Ajahn Brahm said he got this from someone else too. That there's a person who was holding up a sign on the street that said, "I want to be happy." Okay, and the monk or someone came along and said, "Okay, so your first problem is I, and your second problem is want." And so take those away, put those down, and happiness is there, right? But we're so much in this modality of being frantic and chasing and in movement, right? And this isn't just our habit energy, but actually it's been transmitted to us from our ancestors. Okay, this habit of running, being tense, and being carried away by many things, so that our mind is not totally, deeply, peacefully in the present moment. Okay, and Austin's shared something over on YouTube. Austin and Mama Bear. Austin said, I feel the key to stopping my mind is not trying to stop, just focusing on one simple thing like the breath or repeating a phrase, and eventually, without noticing, I fall into the stopping. Okay, that's very interesting. And that's probably something that we should be careful about and be aware of is like we're in a frantic situation. Now we want to force our mind to stop. Well, that's also going to be a problem because we want something sweet. We don't want to get into an argument with ourselves or a friction with ourselves. That's probably why we want to drive to Starbucks. So if we're setting up this mindset to now get into an argument with ourselves or force ourselves into a position, it's just going to develop the problem. So just focusing on one simple thing at that moment of the mind being frantic, maybe in a state of desire or wanting to avoid something. A simple thing like the breath or repeating a phrase, and eventually, without noticing it, I fall into the stopping. So that is focusing on the positive elements that are there. Okay. Mama Bear said, have to reprogram our minds. Yeah. Okay. Great. So stopping and being in touch with what is positive, you are fresh, you are clear, you are smiling. You are being fed with the nourishment of the practice, and you are able to nourish others with your clarity of mind, your smile, and your joy. Okay, let's listen to a sound of the bell. Oh, yeah, in Discord, you might not have been able to hear the bell very well. Yeah, that's okay. The bell is inside. All right. So we continue with the reading. Even amid the wonders of the present moment, it may be that you have a number of difficulties. But if you look deeply, you will see you still have maybe 80% positive things to be in touch with and enjoy. So don't run. Come back to the present moment. By doing so, you cultivate concentration, and you'll see things more deeply and clearly. That training is very simple, but so important. Okay? This is very important instruction here. So, even amid the wonders of the present moment, it may be that you have a number of difficulties. But if you look deeply, you will see you still have maybe 80% positive things to be in touch with and enjoy. So don't run. Come back to the present moment. By doing so, you cultivate concentration and you will see things more deeply and clearly. That training is very simple but so important. Okay? So we can recognize that this present moment is uh, just filled to the brim with wonders. It's really an uncomprehendable kind of experience. And to have a somewhat healthy mind, a somewhat healthy body that's not in extreme pain, to be in community, to have come across the Buddha's teachings, right? I mean, this is really, there's so many blessings here, and it's also mind bogglingly vivid, right? This present moment experience. So, even though that is the case, um, really difficult situations and feelings and conditions kind of come up, and we have to deal with them. At that moment, don't run. Okay? Do not run. Come back to the present moment. And we can do that by looking a little bit more deeply, looking at another angle, and seeing that we still have maybe 80% positive things to be in touch with and enjoy. And that goes along with the stopping and the looking deeply. So when we're looking deeply, we're not in a fever, and it's based on that stopping, right? The looking deeply is based in that stopping. A lot of the things that we get into that are problematic, unskillful, right? They are able to happen because we're not stopping. We're not stepping back. We're not looking deeply at the present moment situation. We're not looking deeply at all of these positive things that we can give our attention to and be aware of, just spiraling into this feverish state. So maybe we can share. I'm interested to hear what maybe some methods or ways of approaching this situation when we get into that feverish state, or it's that particular time of night, or it's that particular time of the week, or this particular situation comes up, and now we find ourselves to kind of be falling into that fever, that spiral of coping mechanism, or just like a very shallow way of taking care of ourselves, right? It's like that infant in ourselves. It becomes uncomfortable and needs attention, and then we put the iPad in front of the 3-year-old. Well, that's not sweet, tender, deep, and meaningful care, and that's what the young child needs, right? Is deep, meaningful, sweet care. So I'm curious to hear, does anyone here have any ways of approaching this, or situations where ways to kind of step in and um, look deeply when those number of difficulties come up, and to look into those positive things that are there. Don't not to run, and to come back to the present moment.
This is Cassiana again, bowing in. I have this thing, I think I read it in a magazine 5, 4 4, 3, 2, 1. When I get a little anxious or my mind is just not in the present moment, I invoke the sense. So it's 5 things you can see. So you just look in your surroundings. What are 5 things you can see? What are 4 things you can hear? 3 things you can maybe feel, touch, and 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Because by involving the senses, I get myself to the present moment, to the here and the now. So this practice has been helpful to me. And just stopping. If you have the possibility to just go and sit on your cushion or sit on your couch, if you just go inside, just do a short meditation. I try to do that. Do a short meditation, either just a regular silent meditation or maybe a meditation by using a mantra, a gatha, like I have here on my little altar. I have arrived, I am home, which I showed before, that I show it again because I love it so much. I have it. I have it framed here. I have arrived, I am home. But I'm gonna bow out now so I can give others the possibility to share.
I like the well, there are a couple of techniques I do. Tangent to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When I'm deep in my emotions, I'll choose a color, look around the room, see how many like blue things I can find in the room, and name. And I learned that this helps as it snaps your brain. It forces you to change directions. I also well, I use my cat, but you can also use a stuffed animal or maybe a pillow or something, and really focusing on tactile textures and likes to curl up next to me in bed so I can smell his scent. I'll take the scent in. And my other thing is breathing. Um, One time Bhante said about tea, savoring it, like, and that resonated with me. Um, it really makes a difference. And I break it in 4 parts. There's in, and there's the top of it, breathing out, bottom of it. I really sit in that feeling when I reach the bottom part of the breath. There's the stillness there. Brings a sense, and that sense at home. That helps me.
I can just share one thing to not do, well, that I found isn't very helpful, and that's to lay down. Oftentimes, I feel at that time when I'm, I guess, falling into my emotions and feeling overwhelmed, and I want to avoid that. and I want to, like, I know that sleep is possible, and I know that if I sleep, then for one, I won't get myself into any trouble, right? I won't be up all night watching movies or eating or something like that. Um, but also I won't have to deal with this situation. But I always find that when I lay down like that, I don't have the energy, I don't have the strength to actually attend to what's going on inside of me. So sitting up and going for a walk, I think, can be much better than laying down and trying to like wait it out. And I feel that there's a lot of nourishment at these times. There's so much nourishment at those times, and we're cheating ourselves when we don't embrace it. And that embracing it can mean all kinds of different things, but it definitely doesn't mean passivity, and it doesn't mean getting into a fever of some kind of consumption or some kind of involvement with something outside of myself. Um, yeah, that's what I can offer for that. I'll read this paragraph one more time. So, even amid the wonders of the present moment, it may be that you have a number of difficulties. But if you look deeply, you will see you still have maybe 80% positive things to be in touch with and enjoy. That especially stands out to me. So at that moment, with those difficulties, and you're already supposed to be asleep, tomorrow's going to be like this, your whole life seems to become a trap at that time, right? So even amid the wonders of the present moment, it may be that you have a number of difficulties, so a number of negative, difficult things going on. But if you stop it, if you look deeply, you will see you still have maybe 80% positive things to be in touch with and enjoy. So don't run. Come back to the present moment. By doing so, you cultivate concentration and you will see things more deeply and clearly. That training is very simple but so important. There's there's a song by Enya. I don't know if anybody here knows Enya, but I'm a pretty big fan of some of her music. And there's one line about um, the morning comes, the sun rises, and I don't know, for me, if I'm spending all night getting into trouble and not getting rest and all that, the morning, it's not really that great, but I think the message is there is that, like, the healing is comes, right? The healing is coming back, the freedom is coming back, the light is coming back. So maybe it's not the physical morning, but the morning in your life is actually coming, and it will, right? um, so what came up for me was to be that morning for myself at that time of difficulty. And I get into my coping mechanisms or my negative thinking or my emotions, my fear, right? My wanting to run away from, right? It says here, don't run. Because there's still maybe 80% positive things to be in touch with and enjoy. So don't run, come back to the present moment. Dwell peacefully in your in breath and out breath in the present moment. When the emotion is too strong and the breathing isn't enough to get you to stop and relax, go out and walk. This, this for me has always felt very difficult, and that's probably because it works. Right? That's probably why it seems so difficult. And it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's almost like it's that voice that tells you to go back to sleep in the morning, right? Every day I've woken up and I want to go back to sleep and I'm tired and I don't need to. And yet that voice is still so convincing, right? Oh, wait, go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Why? If you want to take a rest, you can. But if you want to get up, just get up. You won't be in that state anymore. So, um, so this training of when these difficulties come up, looking deeply, seeing those positive elements, come back to the present moment, don't run, right? This teaching, how to do it. Okay, so dwell peacefully at that moment, not running and turning the mind around. Dwell peacefully in your in breath and out breath in the present moment. So maybe adjust your posture and find an upright position, or maybe it could be laying down. But when the emotion is too strong and the breathing isn't enough to get you to stop and relax, go out and walk. Focus on your footsteps to help your mind stop. Don't let your mind carry you away with thinking, judgments, irritation, strong feelings, or projects. Come back to the present moment, stop and relax. Stop and release the agitation and tension in you. Even if you are not experiencing strong emotions, train yourself so that when you do need to think about something, contemplate something, look deeply into something, you will be able to sit quietly and look deeply and make your plan. With practice, you can release the tension and reduce the pain in your body. And you can recognize painful feelings inside, know how to embrace them, and release the tension in your feelings, bringing relief. You can create a feeling of joy and happiness whenever you want. With good practice, you will no longer be afraid of obstacles and difficulties. You will know how to cope with the difficulties that arise. With practice that is solid, there is no reason to be fearful anymore, because you have seen the path. When you know how to handle your body, your feelings, your perceptions, there is no need to worry anymore. Whether standing, walking, or sitting in meditation, you can use your in-breath and out-breath to help yourself to stop. You stop totally in the present moment. And when you stop, you are master of your body and your mind. You will not allow your habit energy to carry you away in compulsive thinking of something in the past or the future, of this or that project. You train yourself to stop, to relax, and be at peace. Sitting meditation is not for fighting. You let go of everything. Just a quick note here about this sentence here. Don't let your mind carry you away with thinking, judgments, irritation, strong feelings, or projects. So this also is applying to strong positive feelings. If we are getting carried away, then we're setting in that feverish tendency to be overly involved with strong feelings. And the joy and the happiness that is emphasized here is more of um, a naturally arising, more non-conditional happiness and joy. Whereas the strong emotions that we may feel when we listen to certain kinds of music, these feelings are very conditional, and it's kind of like we're burning up our merit, right? We're burning up our store of positive energy. And then when those difficult situations do come, we're going to have less energy to kind of focus on the simple, natural, positive elements that are there, because we have this, this habit of getting carried away with our strong feelings. So just to be mindful of that. Come back to the present moment, stop and relax. Stop and release the agitation and tension in you. So you train yourself to stop, to relax, and be at peace. Sitting meditation is not for fighting. You let go of everything. When a thought comes, you say hello, and then you say goodbye right away. When other thoughts come, you just say hello and say goodbye again. Don't fight. Don't say, "Oh, I am so bad. I think of so many things." You don't need to think like that. You just say hi and bye, relax and let go. You bring your mind to the present moment and rest in awareness of your body. It is like soaking mung beans in water. You don't need to force the water to enter the mung bean. You let the mung bean be in the water, and slowly it goes in. Gradually, the mung bean gets saturated, swollen, and tender. The same is true for you. Letting go, the tension will be released slowly, and you will become more relaxed and more peaceful. The training is to just keep bringing your mind back to the present moment with your body, right? So maybe those strong feelings of excitement or pleasure or a certain kind of emotion, they're flowing out, right? All that energy is flowing out. But here, slowly, bringing your mind back to the present moment with your body, so it's not flowing out. And that's I think for me, the kind of emotions that we do want to hang on to and cultivate and generate is the ones that aren't so focused on flowing out. Of course, every now and again, we can do some karaoke, but you're going to be better at karaoke if you're not, doing it all the time on your own, sending it out. Then you're really going to have a lovely song to sing, right? So the training is to just keep bringing your mind back to the present moment with your body. When you walk, usually your body is here, but your mind is somewhere else. Here again, the training is to come back to the present moment. Your body and your mind are unified. It is very profound, and you see things in a clearer way, a more peaceful way. If some negative thinking comes, just say hello and be aware of that judgment. It could have come from your father, your mother, or somebody else who influenced you. So let go and smile to it. This is your mindful body, meaning your body has your mind in it. We train ourselves to always have a mindful body, so that when you sit, you know that you are sitting, and your mind is fully in your sitting body. When you walk, your mind is fully in your walking body. You know each time you put your foot on the ground, peacefully, lovingly, deeply. Let's finish with just a short metta meditation, and then to end, we'll ring the bell 3 times. Okay, so you can repeat after me these words of loving kindness, and this will be our metta meditation to finish. Okay. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May I be ready and willing to stop and look deeply. May I be more and more aware of all the positive elements in this present moment. May those who are around me be happy, safe, and free from suffering. May those who are around me be happy, safe, and free from suffering. May those who are around me be happy, safe, and free from suffering. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings take care of themselves skillfully and deeply. May all beings, including ourselves, take care every moment. May all karmic obstructions be released and renounced. May all karmic obstructions be released and renounced. May all beings be free. May all beings be forgiven. May it be so. May it be so. May it truly be so. Sadhu. Sadhu. We can all make a bow. Okay, dear friends, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity and your wisdom in sharing. Tomorrow morning session, well, it'll be morning for me, will be more meditation focused, so we'll have more silence. And then we'll continue our Buddhist book club tomorrow at the same time. Okay, be well and take care of yourself. See you.